Hey, what's going on, everybody? Phil here, and I want to make a battle report about a game I played last weekend as Vanilla Ariadna versus Morats in the Armory. So, with that, let's get off to it with my list. So, as you can see from the title, this list really wants to bring a Chernobog. I think it's one of the best and certainly most resilient active turn guns that we can bring, and I wanted to try it out. So we can see I start off the list with Colonel Veronin. Really great, 22 points, strategos, counterintelligence. I think he's excellent. And as you can see in this list, similar to my last one, I'm trying to get away with running him without chain of command. Then we have Bruant. He is a good active gun if you can find the right fight for him. Also a specialist that you can have up the board. I have two Barsooks. They can keep my DZ safe with their decoy and their heavy flamethrower, really protecting Veronin. Can't protect him from guided, but still good pieces. Then we have the Dozer and the Kybervolk. I think the Kybervolk is a good piece for its price, and it does have to take along the Dozer. However, the Dozer has extra relevance in this list because he can fix my Chernobog if it gets hacked. Can also fix him if he takes wounds, a little bit less relevant, given you can't heal him out of battle ravaged, but still good to have. Then we have a tractor mold just for a cheap regular order. And then two dog warriors. They have really been the all-stars in N5 for me. Just a double chain rifle on a big bag of fast moving wounds has been fantastic. Having two of them allows me to place one on either side of the table and then send whichever one has a better path forward at my enemy's face. Group two, we have a Chasseur, excellent defensive piece, and can be used offensively with the fork between the rifle and the flamethrower. We have the Conductor just for the cheap order. Again, you can see I am bringing this Dynamo Duo. They can do a lot with these few orders in Group 2, whether that be smoking, mining, going out and doing objectives on their bikes because they're really fast. And if they even have a good angle, they have decent weapons for up close, the submachine gun, the boarding shotgun. And this Dynamo, in a pinch, can do some AROing. He does have the Panzerfaust. However, it is worth remembering he has limited cover. Then, of course, we have the Chernobog with six orders, including his tack-aware to make it seven. If my opponent decides to dock from Group 2, he'll still have six orders, including his tack-aware. I think that is enough for him. And then finally, the Scout. EM Mine is really great, and I think keeping him standing in the reactive turn can be good. If the opponent wants to try and spend orders discovering him, I will probably not react. And if they don't try to discover him, he is standing and ready to take an opportunistic ARO with his Tier 2 Ohotnik. All right, with that, let's get to my opponent's list. So here is my opponent's list. The idea here is just a very consistent, tanky, resilient list with a lot of orders. So we have Kornak starting off. He's really the source of our orders, having Strategos level 1 and a Lieutenant +1 order. The extra reserve can be very creatively used. Offensively and defensively. So, for example, on defense, you could drop a Dartok and a Kaitok, and that means you have a ARO duo that you could place anywhere on the board. You could also pair that with the MSV1 Fearback. I think that Kornak is a good lieutenant, maybe not for every list, but I can certainly see in most lists. Then we have the three Kaitoks. Really great models, almost as armored as a tag, two wounds, and amazingly cheap, right? We have this one with the Flamin' Spear for only 19 points. My friend was telling me there are people who look at the list and say, oh, this is a skew. Look at you have three Kaitoks. They're so cheap and they're so good. I just don't see why you wouldn't take all three Kaitoks in almost every list. I'm not going to talk about the links because they can be very creatively made. But for example, an offensive duo could be just the in close, cheap, vanilla Kaitok and a Dartok. The only thing that Kaitok's super scared of maybe he could get glued or flashed. But, once he gets in your DZ as a hacking network, and the Dartok moving up with the Kaitok on an offensive run can lay down pitchers and deal with that hacking network before the Kaitok is in there to start really causing some damage between the chain rifle and the heavy pistol fork. So we have two Dartoks. This is really good because that means you have pitcher delivery systems and hackers on both sides of your DZ. And to complement that very, flexible hacking, offensive hacking network, we have a T-drone. We also have a Rindak, so that is a fast and deceptively tanky specialist with its special dodge. Also, it has an adhesive launcher and a flash pulse, and that can really put an attack run down. We have the Kurgat. It has an extra damage Panzerfaust. And then we have two Ichadrons, excellent DZ coverage with their flamethrowers and repeaters. And of course, with the baggage glow up in N5, they can restock our pitchers, they can restock our Flamin Spears, they can restock there's another pitcher, they can restock our Panzerfausts. So the baggage is extremely relevant. And moving down, we have Medtech, and they can also up his armed turrets. So their baggage is very relevant in this list. As I mentioned, getting down into group 2, we have the MedTech and two slave drones with this very resilient list. Kaitok's hard to put down all the way to dead. T-drone, Remprez, hard to put all the way down to dead. Ichadrons also, Remprez, hard to put down to dead. We have a Q-drone here, also hard to put down to dead. There is a ton of stuff that the MedTech would like to bring up. And in group 2, if you have got nothing to bring up, you can go around and place down armed turrets. Then we have a Q-drone with the Thunderbolt. Things that are good about the Thunderbolt Q-drone is, one, you can't outrange it as well as you can an HMG, because similar to a Furback or an HRMC, over 34 inches, they only go to 0 and not to -3. And not only that, the 0.5 SWIC instead of 1 SWIC is very relevant, especially in this list here where you can see we have maxed out our SWC. Then we have the OSNAT, so this can be linked with the Preda to make that Preda regular, and it has a smoke grenade launcher. And then finally, that last Ichadron, which I mentioned. So getting into the game, I win the lieutenant role, and because I have no chain of command, even though Armory is a bit of a second turn favored mission, as with any mission where dominating a zone is how you score points, I slap pick first turn. No chain of command is just too scary. So this is my reserve. I spend a command token for an extra reserve, allowing me to have 3 reserves, and I spend a command token to order a speedball. My 3 reserves are going to be the Chernobog, 1 Dog Warrior, and Bruant. So looking into my deployment, we have a Chasseur here. We have its mine here. We have a real Barsuk, its decoy. We have another real Barsuk, its decoy, which is blocking a model from walking on that side of the table. Then we have Veronin in here, tucked in behind the Chasseurs and the Barsuks. We have a Tractor Maul prone right here. We have the Conductor just back here kind of doing nothing. I didn't see a great corner for him to guard. Maybe here would have been good, but I just slap him down. I put the Dozer here. Then we have a standing Scout here and his EM mine here. The idea is to have the Scout watching good lines like this if I want to use him in reactive to take an ARO at something getting close. And I have this EM mine that even though it can't detonate on anything, I'm against Morats. They all have Warhorse. EM doesn't really do anything except for the HI, which it can immobilize. But it's standing there and pretending to be a Scout too, kind of looking down that way, that way, that way. Moving on through my deployment, we have the Kyber Volk here. We have the Dog Warrior here. And then we have our Dynamo Doer here. We have the Paramedic is here. And then we have the Panzerfaust here, who kind of has a long line looking like that. Don't really want him to take a gunfight, but I'm fine with him being there to slow stuff down. Dynamos so good. I mean, it has dogged even. So that is my deployment. And as I mentioned, the three reserves are the Chernobog, the Dog Warrior, and Bruant. Moving on to my opponent's deployment. Bear with me because, Kurgat, Kaitok, Dartok, kind of hard for me to remember everything. We have his HVT here. I forgot to place my HVT, but I end up putting him here. And then going from left to right, we have an Icadron. We have the T-drone, which is looking down this way. He is posting it up on ARO. Try to survive through that first turn. We have a TR bot here, which is taller than this building. So it is seeing kind of like this. Then we have a Dartok here, a Kaitok, HRL, a Prada. Oh, there is an Osnat back here in the corner that you can't see. We have Kornak here prone. We have another Dartok. We have our Kurgat, a slave drone here. There's another slave drone here. That we have a Rindak. We have Dr. Worm. We have an Icadron. I don't know it, but his two reserves are the Feuerbach Kaitok and the Vanilla Kaitok. So I see his deployment and I place my reserves. So my reserves go down. We have my Chernobog going here. I was a little nervous to pace it more aggressively because I thought he might have an ARO piece that could just be staring at it, possibly in my bad range right off the bat. So a little cautious with my placement here. I place Bruant here, and I place my Dog Warrior here ready to take off and go this way. The reason that I place my Dog Warrior where I do is, of course, on the kind of other side of the table from my initial Dog Warrior placement. And also, he has some one wound models here, which I really want to eat up. Okay, so those are my reserves. And my opponent's reserves are a Feuerbach Kaitok that goes here prone. And then in my next picture, you will see his vanilla Kaitok that goes down here, threatening to kind of make a run for Veronin if he gets the opportunity. So with that, we'll go into my first turn. So I elect to Impetuous with both of my dogs, and here is where I do something a bit interesting. So Dog Warriors cannot jump, they cannot move jump in their Impetuous because those are not valid Impetuous pairings. So they can move, shoot, move dodge, move idle, move attack. But another thing that they can do, which is relevant with super jump, is if they have a free path, they can just jump straight forward 10 inches. So I Impetuous this one up 10 inches. And then this one, if I move this way, I will actually get seen by the T-drone. Maybe sometimes I would consider it to just move and get here and eat the missile. However, if I do eat that missile, it's going to hit my Chernobog too. Absolutely not. No, thank you. However, if I jump, I will go up this way, and this building will block me from eating the missile. So both of my dogs Impetuous forward. Now that I have used my Impetuous, I jump again with this Dog Warrior to here, seeing the Prada. Prada elects to chain rifle me. I chain rifle it back. I have two. It has one. It puts one wound on my Dog Warrior, and the Dog Warrior kills it with its two chain rifles. Next, the dog moves and then moves again to get behind this box. The Dartok here successfully dodges around, and the Kurgat fails its dodge. So my Dog Warrior is now here, kind of ready to go on a tear. However, I decide to move to my other group before I unleash with him, because currently this T-drone is looking this way, and I just don't want to eat free missile shots as my Dog Warrior tries to carve out the soft underbelly of my opponent's list. So what do? These bikes move a bit and then come back. to place smoke here. The reason I want to do that is because I think that the Chernobog might be in bad range fighting the missile here, and I want the smoke. Sorry, the smoke goes down more like this, and I want the smoke so I can come up to here and then fight it. Smoke goes down on the first order, and then the Chernobog moves up and gets here ready to fight that T-drone. So I come to here, I come out, fight the T-drone. I am able to put it unconscious. However, my dog is here, and the missile does pass his roll. So even though the Chernobog doesn't get hit, the dog does get hit, and he eats a wound, transforming him. After that, the Cherno moves out a little bit more, sliced the pie to fight the missile. Now I'm fighting the Q drone. I fight the Q drone twice. I think he gets one hit on me the first time, and the second time is undecisive. I am able to tank the Thunderbolt hit with my 8 armor plus 3 in cover, 11. I think I was saving on something like 17s or 18s. So just tank that. I decide I don't want to do it again because I only have 1 or 2 orders left in that group. So Bruant moves up to here and then goes prone. My opponent delays with the Thunderbolt. I fight it. It's something like 4 9s versus 3 5s because of my mimetism and surprise. He elects to shoot instead of dodge. I think that is the correct choice. And Bruant puts that Q drone unconscious. So with that, we move on to the Dog Warrior. And I think viewing my opponent's DZ will be a better way to talk through this Dog Warrior attack. So at the moment, the dog is here, this Preda is dead, and this Dartok has dodged around the corner. So the dog comes to here. I don't base the Kurgat. I think I probably should have. So I come to here and put a chain rifle on all 3 of these models. We get a failed dodge here. We get a failed dodge here. We get a successful dodge here. We get a successful dodge, a failed dodge, and I believe that the Rindak fails its dodge as well. So the Kurgat bases the dog, and the Kaitok takes 1 wound. There is an SMG shot from down here. The Osnat that is over here takes a boarding shotgun shot, but it is out of range. Cornac dodges as well. And the SMG shot, I think pangs off of my armor or misses. So now I am in base to base with the Kurgat. I spend another order. We have a melee fight. I crit and kill the Kurgat. So now that the Kurgat is dead, I jump along this way. I believe we get an SMG shot, another SMG shot, and these 2 will both dodge. I elect to put a chain rifle something like this. I'm not sure if I catch the Rindak or not. The fire team again elects to dodge because this time I see Cornac. We get a failed dodge on Dr. Worm. We get a failed dodge on the Icadron. I'm not sure if I miss or make the saves with the SMG shots. And I put Dr. Worm to dead and the Icadron unconscious. So that is very, very big for me because it means that these T-drones will not be coming back up, given that Dr. Worm and his slave drones are no longer there. And even though it would have taken a lot of orders, the dead Kurgat won't be able to fix them either. Then we decide to jump again this way, coming back. And I am able to, I think we get a dodge from the Rindak, a dodge from the Dartok, and again, we have the SMG shots. Whether it's failed dodges or they shoot at me, I put a chain rifle on the Rindak and the Dartok, and the Dartok is put unconscious and the Rindak is put unconscious. After that, I jump something like over here because I now want to threaten what's his name? I now want to threaten the lieutenant. Um, I think I eat again an SMG shot, and Cornac is his name, dodges. Um, I elect to dodge in a hope to, I don't know, base Cornac and threaten him again. I think that was the wrong choice. I think I should have just chain rifled. Either way, I lose the face to face with the SMG. I'm not sure where in this whole terror here I took a wound, but I did. And failing the dodge, the Dartok is able to put the dog unconscious. With my final order in group two, the Chernobog now moves to this corner and fights the HRL Kaitok, that I'm able to put him unconscious. And then, oh, and apologies. Before I jumped this way, I used my speedball. I try to place a Vitapack on the dog to heal him. It fails, so I put it on the edge of my DZ here. I roll for my other one. I get a switch on, and I just place it on top of the Kybervolk, so he can maybe pick it up and come heal my Chernobog if the time comes and calls for it. And then with my final order in group one, my Dozer, who is over here, just kind of moves up to here to get closer to the room. So when all is said and done, it is a very successful first turn for Ariadna. We kill the T drone, we kill the Q drone, we kill the Dartok who dies after going dogged, we kill the Kaitok, we killed the Kurgat, we killed the Rindak, we killed Dr. Worm, and we killed this Ikadron. So right there we have, oh, and we killed this Preda. So right there we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 kills, and the game is looking very good. Just the aftermath of that first turn. Here is the aftermath. We can see the unconscious dog here, and we can see, all the unconscious or now dead models. And the point of view from my side of the table. After that, we have the dog who has eaten one wound from the missile launcher. We can see I'm using this token here as the Vitapack, which he, went back and picked up. Then we have the switch on here on our Kybervolk. We have our Dozer here who's moved ready to go towards the room. And we have our Chernobog here kind of watching a line like that. So with that, my opponent's turn, despite losing a lot of models, he still has a good number of orders, and he decides to reconstitute his forces by moving everything into one group, I believe group one. So left he has the two Kaitoks, an Ikadron, a Dartok Kornak, and the Oznat, who, as I pointed out before, is kind of sitting here in this corner. So what does he do with his 8 orders? So we have the Dartok and Kaitok duo. They move this way. They are going to try and get the room. The Furback Kaitok gets to here, and we start a gunfight. We are both in bad range. In the first face-to-face, he hits me. I think he hits me once and crits me the other time, dealing 2 wounds to the Chernobog, who now is battle ravaged. However, the Chernobog is able to guts out of line of sight. Happy to be alive after getting crit and hit. He moves the duo back, and he spotlights my unconscious dog. This gets him his classified telemetry, and with the remainder of his orders, he comes back, gets the Dartok into the room. So the change after his first turn is we have the Dartok in here holding the room. The Kaitok, of course, can't go in with the slim doors, but he is defending this way for the Dartok. So, my turn. I want to take the room. So I think this is a good screenshot to detail how my turn goes. So the first thing we do is activate our Dynamo Duo. We are able to come around here and slice the pie before seeing the Kaitok Furback and place 2 mines in this vicinity here. Those mines do successfully go down. After that, the Chernobog pokes his head out and fights the Kaitok. I think I hit the Kaitok once or twice, but who elects to shoot, um, but am not able to put any wounds on. So now the other dynamo comes around here, again does the same thing, successfully places both mines. Um, the Chernobog fights again. I don't remember what the result of the face-to-face is. However, no one takes any wounds. So now this dog warrior uh, comes around this way. Um, I think the Dartok dodges, and I place down a smoke because one of the things that is truly scary for the dog is a flash pulse, and I forgot to mention also in his turn he had one order where he was able to move the Icodron here. So I put this smoke down because I do not want to deal with that flash pulse. Now with smoke down here, the dog comes out. I believe we get heavy pistoled and we get SMG'd. I put 2 chain rifles into the Dartok. I believe the result is nothing. I take no wounds, and neither does the Dartok. We do it again. I think the same thing happens, and then I do it one more time, and the Dartok does die. Then I base the Kaitok. The Kaitok CCs me, so I just elect to put 2 chain rifles into it. The Kaitok goes unconscious, and I take a wound. And apologies, I did take a wound in the fighting here between the Dartok, the Kaitok, and the dog, but Vitapack healed it. The CC with the Kaitok does put another wound on the dog, who now has only 1 wound. Next, the Dozer comes into the room, grabs from this panoply, and goes prone here. Oh, and also, at some point before the Kaitok dies, it only had 1 wound when the dog came and forked it with a base to threaten the CC or the CC or the chain rifle. These bikes were able to freely move around this way. I used the boarding shotgun to take a shot at the back of the Kaitok, which unfortunately did not. We only did 1 wound. Now that that's been dealt with, the bikes kind of move into a position here and here. When I move that way, the Icodron decides to take a pistol shot at this bike, which is the paramedic. This bike was the leader of the duo, so it shoots a Panzerfaust at the Icodron. It hits the Icodron, but the Icodron makes all 3 saves and misses its pistol shot. So that is the end of my turn. To look at the table at the end of my turn, we have our bikes here. We have the Dozer here now protecting the room. We have our Dog Warrior with, I believe, 1 wound left. And that is how we have progressed our table state. So for his turn, he wants Cornac to come out and try to clear things up. So Cornac comes out, fights here with the Panzerfaust bike. It is inconclusive. Then he comes out and tries to fight both bikes at the same time. By the end of it, it takes a number of orders. I think all the orders in his turn. He has both bikes dogged. However, Cornac does eventually die, and we decide to call the game here. So, very pleased with the attacking power of this list. However, as I mentioned, I was very relieved to win the lieutenant role and snap picked first because I feel vulnerable with only Voronin. We talked about it a bit after the game. If he had gone first, let's say he has a Dartok here, it doesn't really matter where I put Voronin, even all the way back in this corner here. He can pretty easily guided Voronin. I don't think I have any veterans. I do have a lot of command tokens that I could use to try and make a bit of a turn out of it, but it certainly wouldn't be a good situation for me. So, although I enjoyed playing this list going first, I don't know how much I would enjoy playing it second. Um, and this is the list I plan to play in my next list. Um, the big changes are taking out um, the Chernobog, so we can put in Vasily and the Spetsnaz. So Vasily can stand up similarly to the Chasseur, but a tier 2 sniper rifle is a bit scarier of an ARO than the Okhotnik. And then the Spetsnaz is a much less vulnerable, much less tanky attack piece. However, I think it is actually less vulnerable on the reactive turn due to being in camo, and hopefully it is actually more reliable at taking out things like TR bots or missile bots because um, I have the surprise attack. I'm on 15s as opposed to 14s with the Chernobog. And I wouldn't have to smoke for it like I did in this game because I have camo. If he decides to discover me with his T-drone, I'm just going to take my 4 shots for free. Um, but as I mentioned, if anything goes wrong when the Spetsnaz is trying to take a face-to-face, there's a high likelihood he goes unconscious. Sure, I could bring him up with a paramedic, but could also kill him. It's not great. And the other thing missing from this list you might notice is the scout. So this will probably be my next one. Thanks all for joining, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.